item is 3D, which will be Dr. Wilcox.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to come before you again this evening. I appear here this evening as a result of the previous meeting we had, a joint meeting between the Board of Education and the County Commission. And since that meeting, I wanted to come back and one more time go through the building program with you all. We have a PowerPoint for the audience that can follow along. And we're excited about this building program. We're anticipating a lot of good things to happen as a result of the building program that we're proposing to you. I would also say that this is a building program that collectively has been designed by employees in our system. Everyone's had input into this. We've tried to do something for every school as we develop this program. The reason we're able to even consider a program is that we have, at our request, $6,840,000 in qualified school construction bonds. Those are generally almost interest-free. I think the last time we checked that Alan discerned that maybe if we did a request that it would be interest-free with the current bond market rate. But at any rate, with that, these are distributed by the Department of Public Instruction. We've had the opportunity to draw upon those for a couple of years now. We've asked that those be extended a couple of times, and they've graciously done that. Our current deadline is March 31, 2015. And I have inquired of the gentleman that's over that if we did get an approval to proceed, and if the architect rendering of the drawing and the bidding went up to that date, and we need another month or two's extension of that, would they allow it? And he said, certainly. He said if we have a commitment, then they would extend that to allow us, since we've worked on it so long, to use that. With those funds, 10% must be spent within 6 months of approval. 100% must be spent within 3 years of the bond use. And then, of course, DPI must be notified within 15 days those are issued, so they'll know that those are being used. The next thing I want to talk about is the amount of interest that we possibly could save by using interest-free money. And I don't know exactly what the current bond rate is. It's usually around 3% on federal funds if you borrow. So if it did happen to be 3%, we did a building program of $6.5 million. The county would save $2,730,000 in interest. Next,
what time period would that be?
That will be over a 15-year period. Yes, thank you. Okay, and then I wanted to show that we're currently paying off an indebtedness at Morris Hill that was for $4 million. And due to the fact that there was an interest payment included in that one, you'll see that some of those payments there are going to exceed the amount that we would be paying for this $6 million. We're going to be, on the next page, in a minute, we'll be talking about how much we're actually going to pay. I wanted you to see the size of some of those payments that we have there with the Morris Hill payment. And then the next page shows how we would calculate the payback. I think it's going to be somewhere around $433,000. There may be a little cost for the issuance of the bonds that would impact that. It will be close to that. And again, we will be paying off for Morris Hill this month. Is that correct? We no longer have an obligation on Morris Hill indebtedness. So with this building program, what we're able to do is continue the payment so that we can then in turn use this payment to pay off the new building program. Since we're accustomed to making that payment with 4042 funds, feel that we could do that. Now, a lot of people would say, well, where would the county and where would the school system get the money to pay back in investments of $6.5 million? Well, the county receives somewhere between $725,000 and $1.5 million a year, depends on the economy. How much sales tax is taken in state-owned plant is divided for the school systems across the state. So we have this amount that's been coming in since the mid-'80s, and we've used that to do several building projects in our school district. We built Mars Hill, we built at Laurel, and we built at Brush Creek. And so all those have had the benefit of 4042 funds. So we're asking that we use those state funds to build facilities for our children without the county having to use local sales tax. Local sales tax or local property tax to build the schools. So currently, in the 4042, if we're receiving, I just put $750,000 annually up there because that varies. But in that reserve, according to Darlene and our finance officer, we have somewhat over $1 million in that account now. And that's after I've been down here several times to ask you to give us some of those dollars for capital outlay. We've done several projects this school year from that, and it still has $1,059,000 in it.
At Will Cox, when will we get another payment on the $42?
We get those quarterly now.
The sales tax actually comes in monthly.
Monthly? Okay. So that divided up over a year's time. And then, of course, we use that reserve for school projects, and we have been using it for the building program. That's what we're asking that we continue to do. Then we also receive $158,000 from the lottery for capital outlay projects. And we have a separate reserve and pool of money that comes into. And then we come down every now and then, we ask you for some lottery money to do something for the schools. But we haven't completed that in any way, form, or fashion. We still have in excess of $500,000. No, I told you around $450,000. I came down and got 80 of them last month, so it did drop it below 5. So we have $450,000 in that account. So what we're asking in this building program is that we build a new early college high school. Our early college high school currently has 215 students in it. It's the school that allows children, if they so wish, to come there and take college courses as well as high school courses. And if they'll come back that extra year, then they can get a free college education, an associate degree, a 2-year associate degree. And we think that's very beneficial for the students in our county. And so we have had that school in several different places. We had it out on our AV Tech campus for a while, and we've moved it up to the Rock building, and then we pondered other places to move it, but we feel like that it needs a permanent home. And due to the fact we're having to transport students up there, we feel like if it was located in the middle of the county, transportation costs would be minimized, all the children would come to one central location. You would be there near the high school, we could share teachers, we could share other facilities that we could have there, and it would be a much beneficial situation. We're asking for $3,017,000 to build it. And that's 16,620 square feet for construction, 125,000 for furnishings, and a $233,000 contingency in case we have an overage that we aren't expecting. We're also asking for $1,684,000 for Brush Creek. We need 4 classrooms at Brush Creek. That school was originally built for a K-3 school. 2 years after it's built, we decided to make it K-5 just as soon as it opened. We came back and built 4 classrooms and a gymnasium. It still wasn't large enough. It's still not handling the capacity we have at Brush Creek. So we need one more expansion out there, and we're asking that we expand that school with 4 classrooms, 2 bathrooms. That we do an underground storage line relocation, we expand the cafeteria, and that we do some paving in the parking lot, and that we repair the handicap ramp in front of the school, and we install some carpet in the office. Then starting with the elementary schools, some of our schools have had a lot of work in the past, so our request for funds for the schools varies because of that. We just didn't put things in here that we didn't need. We only put the things that we felt like we needed at the current time. So at Hot Springs, they need professional and a ball field fence for a total of $30,000. Laurel Elementary needs cafeteria and hall tile and some classroom whiteboards for a total of $12,500. Mars Hill Elementary needs 3 restrooms. They need paving on the lower parking lot. They need to build an outdoor classroom, renovate the 51 and 56 sections, and install office carpet tiles for a total of $278,000. Madison Middle School, that school built in 91, has never had the roof replaced, so it needs a new EPDM rubber roof. The drama lecture hall needs new chairs, carpet, and paint. We need to construct 2 press boxes out there near the 2 ball fields that we built last year, so they can have a middle school game, have scores there, and that type of thing that is needed. We also need professional epoxy painting in the school. And we need paving behind the school, a parking lot for the ball fields, and we need new lockers for PE rooms and a storage building. A total of $417,000 in Madison Middle School. Then at Madison High School, we are asking that we build a new weight room, and that's for us to expand our CTE program. We recently got a grant that's going to allow us to have more classes at the high school in industrial manufacturing. We've got a new CNC piece of equipment, and those are quite expensive. And we've got several other pieces of equipment. We already have one, but we're wanting to expand that program. Students who go through that program are capable of leaving the high school, going to high school and getting some good paying jobs, as much as a beginning teacher would. There's a big demand for people who have those CNC equipment skills. So in order to do that, we're going to have to remodel our masonry classroom at the high school for this new manufacturing facility. It'll also be used by AB Tech and Eden. There are advantages to doing that because it has bathrooms, it has a classroom, and it's separate from the main building. So when those adults come up there and use that in the evening and night, they would have a need to be in our classrooms or the other part of the building. But at any rate, in order to do that and make that move, we've got to put the masonry classroom in the room where the former metals class is, but it's small. And so we've been asked by the CTE department to give them that building up there that we've been using for a weight room back, so that all the classes could use that. So in order to do that, we're proposing that we build a new weight room so we can move the athletics down to one end of the building, leave the CT alone up there where they are. And then renovate the little theater. We need new chairs in there, new lights, new sound system. We need new sidewalks at the high school. A lot of the sidewalks are deteriorating. We've received a grant for a hydroponic greenhouse, and we're asking that we match that grant with this building program so we can build that for the CTE department as well. We have some paving needs around the high school. Some of the paving is cracked and needs to be replaced. We need new PE lockers. We need to renovate the art room. We need ceiling and floor tile in the band room, and we need some work on the alternative school roof. So a total of $501,000 for Madison High School.
Dr. Wilcox, before we leave that, I had a question about the weight room. A $250,000 weight room, how many square feet is that going to be? Cost per square foot?
We are proposing a 70 by 50. 30,000.
Thank you.
Okay. And then to summarize then, we're asking for $3,017,000 for Verticom. We're asking for $1,824,000 for Brush Crew, $30,000 for Hot Springs, Laurel Elementary $12,500, Mars Hill Elementary $278,500, Madison Middle School, $417,000. Madison High School, $501,000, for a total of $6,080,000. And then you're asking for an amount of money for architect and engineering fees and costs that would be associated with the buildings, such as topos would have to be done before you could build it. Maybe site development issue would help account for. But we would say to you that we have put out proposals for an architect. And we requested to 4 companies that we have known real well. And we've narrowed that down to 2. And then if you all gave us permission to proceed this evening, at our board meeting on the 15th, we would choose between those 2. Once we make a choice, then we can negotiate the price. I don't know what that price will be. I've got a good idea, but the past architect fees range anywhere from 5, 7, 8, 9%. We'll do our best to get it as low as possible to reduce and minimize this amount of the 420 that we would eventually request. Now let me say this, any of these amounts that we have, unless we come with legitimate purchase orders and after bidding and all that, if we do not use that money, that stays in here. That stays in here to reduce the amount we borrow. We can't just move that anywhere we want. The funds could be with the blessing and the board's blessing. It have to be approved. So that's our program. And then if you were to give us permission, I've developed a timeline that I'll share with you.
Dr. Wilcox, was there not one item here that we had reduced to $25,000?
That was the greenhouse. The greenhouse, we've got a $25,000 grant for the greenhouse.
Dr. Wilcox, these architectural fees, when we had the auditorium, that was authorized, I think. Okay. But the auditorium didn't fly.
Right.
But it cost a couple $100,000, is that right?
Yes, it did, it cost.
Okay. Now, that money came from $42.
Yes.
Okay. So it didn't cost the taxpayers anything other than sales tax?
That's right, that's correct. That's correct.
And just so everyone understands, the money that Dr. Wilcox is requesting is improvements to every school in the county. It does make quite a bit of difference in some of the operations of the school to benefit the facility, the grounds, to help a lot of things out. We have looked over this. The new construction, the classrooms, the bathrooms, the cafeteria, the parking lots, and all this are things that if you go around to our school and you do look at them, they are in dire need of some repair. Previously, when the discussion came up about the auditorium, a lot of people said, well, hey, gosh, there's money could be spent at every school somewhere, somehow, instead of just on an auditorium. Well, that is what the school board and Dr. Wilcox have done. They went back, talked to the teachers, talked to everyone they could talk to, and narrowed it down to these items of importance. Therefore, instead of having one major project and spending all the money on it, it's divided among all the schools. And I just think the public needs to be aware of that this isn't just dumping money into one project. It is will and affect and improve all the schools in the county. And at this time, I don't have a problem with any of the commissioners. Got any questions for Dr. Wilcox?
I got one other. If this is approved, 15 years is a long time, but it's a short time too. And if we're gonna pay $433,000 a year, do you foresee this pretty much taking care of the needs? I know you can't, we don't know what the future holds, but, I mean, are you gonna be back in another year wanting another $4 million?
No, I'm not coming down asking 40 or 50 for something that's tore up. No, this will take care of our skeleton.
Dr. Wilcox, in the funding section, it says 100% must be spent within 3 years of bond use. Does that mean that 100% of these projects will be completed in 3 years? Okay, so we have 3 years to complete every one. So we will have numerous projects going on at the same time.
Well, we can order them. We can say, we're going to do this one, this one, this one, just as long as we can finish 3 years. That would be something you and the board we sit down and decide.
And one thing that the commissioners would request of the school board, that they keep 2 years' payment of this in reserve. 2 years of the total yearly payment in reserve. And we ask that so if the state cuts the funds, we don't have to raise the people's taxes in this county. We have the money to pay.
I think that's the last one.
Donnie, are we okay with that?
Darlene and I discussed that at length earlier today because she gave us the 4042 monies. And under the statute that created those two funds, there's a provision in it that actually allows the county to, instead of dispersing those monies in the particular fiscal year that they receive them, can actually put those monies in a reserve fund, which the county has then control of and can divvy those monies out to the school system either in the budget cycle or can keep them for a project such as this. So we have control of those monies. So what is in there right now, and under this scheme, I believe there's a little over $1 million right now, and of course that's going to grow in the next coming months. We can keep that if we want to and make the payments. And one of the uses that we can use the money is to retire capital improvement indebtedness. So yes, we have the ability to keep those monies and apply it toward the indebtedness.
How do we protect ourselves going forward? In 15 years, this board's going to change, the school board's going to change, the superintendent might change, lots of things will change. How do we protect ourselves so that someone doesn't come in, Darlene's maybe retired, how do we protect ourselves to make sure that those funds do in fact stay in reserve?
Well, you can only protect those funds as long as you're the city board. You cannot tie future boards' hands in what they're going to do with those monies. You can only do it while this board's constituted in the way that it is right now.
Well, I just want the public to know that is our intent to keep that and to have that in reserve. So the total building program cost will change just a little bit, correct? From 6.5 to 6.47 because of the $25,000 off of the greenhouse.
Yes.
Are there any other?
It'll also change, you know, I probably have a sufficient amount in there for architect and the soil board and whatever. There may be a substantial amount in there we could say maybe as much as $100,000.
That would be on the architectural piece.
Yeah.
Is there any other items that you feel could be omitted from this?
I wouldn't feel comfortable asking that an item be omitted without my Board of Education approving it.
Okay.
We've studied this pretty well and feel it's substantial.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Dr. Wilcox?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we proceed in the next phase of this as per our discussions this evening and with the considerations of those discussions, and authorize Dr. Wilcox and the Board of Education to proceed with the architectural phase.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor to proceed with the architectural phase. Do I hear a second?
Can I ask a question? Is that?
If I get a second.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, question I would have is, after the architect is approved, selected, and so forth, and we move to the contractor, what is the process in that?
We employ an architect, and he, of course, takes the concept of the buildings that we present to him, and he draws them, and he puts them out for bid to contractors. Several contractors will bid on them, and then I think that you all on the board can have a joint meeting and accept what we would hope to be the low bid.
And what would be the time frame on getting items such as the classrooms and restrooms at Brush Creek, getting those? Do they do not have to be architect? They do. What would be the time frame from that? Would that be?
Well, it would depend on, whether the board, which project the board chooses to go first. Or they could go simultaneously with the two. They could go with the 4 classrooms and their commons. At any rate, that time sheet I've given you there kind of shows that if you think it's in April, by April, that we will be getting pricing.
Any more questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I could add something.
Please do.
I don't know that we've taken into account local government commission's requirement to have to approve this. If you'll remember, the last process that we went through with the auditorium required a lot of preliminary work to be done in hiring bond counsel, in hiring, in getting the package with LGC and going through all of that process. Now, without LGC approval, we cannot borrow any money from anyone. And you actually have to have the bids in and choose a contractor before the LGC is going to approve the project. And LGC does not, meets only monthly, and they have a schedule. If you choose to do this right now, you're going to be very, very hard pressed to meet the deadline of having those bonds issued by your deadline. It's going to have to be streamlined. You've got to get the architect approved. You've got to, once you get the architect done, you have to have the drawings in. You have to have the drawings in before you can send out the RFPs to the contractors. And then all of this is coordinated with actually getting a lender to issue the bonds. I mean, if you'll remember the last process that we went through, we worked on that for probably well over a year before it came to where we had the architect's plans and a good, clear quote as to what the cost of it was going to be. So you got multiple projects in here that you're going to have to get bids, quotes, and have I missed something, Dr. Wilkins?
No, sir, you're exactly right. Exactly right. Now, one thing that I would say is I have spoken with Ben Matthews, the gentleman who's over the QSCD funding. He says that if we need an extension, show good faith moving forward, you'll help us with
Is this the same bonds that were gonna be utilized for the auditorium?
Yes.
And I've had a conversation on the phone, a couple by email with our bond counsel, that we may have to officially rehire, but we can go through that. That, you know, the only thing from her point of view tonight, if you guys would want to proceed, is to adopt something called a reimbursement resolution. I've got that with me. That does not bind the board to do anything, but it preserves the ability to put architect fees and things between now and the closing into the loan.
We did that the last time.
We did the
That
last,
was the
and
first
basically,
step that we did the last time.
you know, once if the board's pleasure is to move forward and we do this and we get an architect hired, certainly then Donnie and I would have a conversation with our bond counsel, show her the proposed schedule, and I'm quite positive she would modify that based on, because LGC does only meet so often, and then we have to back that schedule up, and there are a number of steps there. Only one of which we'd have to take tonight.
Are there doubts that we can't meet this timeline? If so, let's don't authorize spending $400,000 for an architect.
I can't answer that question for you right now because I would want to talk with bond counsel. I would want to talk with folks down at LGC and certainly school officials to see whether or not it would be possible to get. I would have serious doubts that you could get all of these projects prepared and ready in that period of time. Now, maybe the big project, I just mentioned that you're squeezing a elephant into a gnat hole. I don't want to say that nothing is doable, but we're going to have to get a little bit more information, I think, before I could say that it can be done. I have serious doubts right now, just based upon what we went through with the auditorium, and that was a single project in the period of time that it took to get all of those things in order. You send out an RFP to a bank, they've got to have a certain period of time to respond on that. So, and you're going to have to basically allow your staff and the school board staff to work on nothing but this if you are planning to do it over this period of time. It'll be really tough.
So we find ourselves in a conundrum. If we don't move, we guarantee we don't. If we do move, we still don't guarantee that we do. But if we don't do anything at all, we don't do anything at all. So I come back to my original motion, modified as it may need to be, however hard we have to work to try to save the taxpayers of this county over $1 million in interest. A good portion of this project is not new construction. It's necessary, needed maintenance. It's also an opportunity to get a $3 million set of classrooms and other projects built in the middle of the county. And we don't know how we'll need to use them 20 years from now, but they're in the right spot, no matter how we use them 20 years from now. So, however I might need to modify, Mr. Attorney, my motion, I still want to authorize that we make every effort to constructively use this money. It is regrettable the past and how much time was lost on other projects that we no longer do. But in good conscience, I would be very, very unhappy if we just simply walked away from $6+ million of interest-free money, particularly when we're going to have to come back and spend possibly at least half of that on required maintenance and take it out of all of our pockets and have to pay interest for that. And I agree with you. We may be in a real time crunch, but at least proceed in whatever deliberate manner that we can authorize to proceed.
And we'll do everything, if that's the way this board chooses to go, I mean, we'll start on it immediately, looking and trying to find answers to those questions And as soon as you can come up with a schedule after conferring with all of those different parties, be able to present something back to you so you'll know where we are going with it.
And make sure that we do monitor it, as it's been discussed here, and work together. But I would still like to, however we need to phrase that motion, and I'm perfectly willing to modify it to meet the legal requirements and to give the authorities so that we collectively move forward to maximize the use of those funds.
I think the motion was appropriate as given, and my speaking was only to the question of, can it be done?
And I appreciate that.
And we'll find that answer out as soon as we can.
And the we is all of us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
But will we, and I know you said you didn't know for sure, but will we find that answer out before we've spent?
Yes, sir. You'll have that answer within, what's today? You'll have that answer before the end of the week.
Okay.
I
Excellent.
think
So
we
so we'll
can-
have that answer before we spend $200,000 on
Sir.
it? Okay.
We'll be on the phone with bond counsel, within days, and then as soon as we have an architect officially hired, they can get, when will the drawings be ready? That's really, you just have to, ask them, and that may be a criteria in the selection. When can they get the drawings? I mean, that's a big thing.
From our perspective, if the council can tell us when they feel like is a legitimate time to have this QSCD funds extended to, I can make that, if it's 3 months, if it's 6 months, whatever, I think they'll work with us if they know we're moving forward.
And has the bank already committed to doing this deal?
See, once we present the building permit, you all, that is the county, I guess, the task. I don't know, I haven't dealt with that, I think Alan did last year.
It has been several months since I've spoken to the bank, but they do want to continue to do business with us. It is a big process. We send out to a number of them, and again, the bond council will let us know, you better have your bids out by this time, and they're reviewed by various staff. But yes, I've spoken with the bidder from last time, and they're still interested in bidding.
Mr. Rice, there's essentially only one player historically, and that's BB&T, and they remain a player in this area. So, and we've had extensive dealings with this firm.
That's who the Marsdale project was with?
No, I don't know, that's before my time. She would know. That was a lot.
Our current two notes that don't have anything to do with the school are with the same lender. So they want to keep earning our business. Consolidation of those. We did.
That's good. Yes.
Mr. Attorney, is our elephant and gnat hole situation a creation of this timeline? Or
It's more of a creation in the statement that Dr. Wilcox said that the bid award, we needed to use the QSCD monies, have them awarded by what date? Was that March 15th? March 31st. In order to commit to those, we have to have all of this other stuff done. So we've got, 3 months. And normally, if you have everything in order, have all your time work done, you call, we had everything done. Usually they would be put on the agenda for the LGC right now in March. So we have nothing done that can be put on the LGC agenda in March. If you can get that deadline pushed out, that would give us a lot more buffer.
Okay. I just need to know how far.
Right. And we will ask that question to the bond council and probably start to ask that question with the bond council and the architect. Because we need, really, the next big thing is when can the drawings go to bid? And then from there, we can flow the rest of the schedule out.
Did they give you an idea as to how far they would extend it?
He said he'd help us, whatever, he said, I'll help you in a way of helping. So I told him that we need 6 months, we can
That certainly help a great deal.
get it. Would you like to request a 6-month extension, or you want to wait till you get that done?
I mean, extend it, and if we have to use it, we'll have it there. If we can get things in order, then we won't use it. But I think the sooner you could let them know, that would take a tremendous amount of pressure
Dr.
off
Wilcox,
of
if you'll
them.
ask for 9, maybe we'll get 6.
That's for 12.
I'll see what we can get.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor and a second. And this motion is for just for the proceedings to continue with this project. And I have a second. All in favor of the continuation of this project, raise your right hand. All opposed, likewise. Motion passed.
Thank you.